How much do the Jews hate Jesus? Before crucifying Jesus on the cross, they tortured him with severe punishment for 12 whole hours. This is the scene before Jesus' death. The Jews made Jesus carry a heavy cross, and then had soldiers whip him from behind as the Jews watched. Instead, they whipped him furiously from behind, but Jesus never yielded. Oh my gosh. With steadfast faith, he stood up again carrying the cross, staggered forward to the soldiers, who then locked Jesus' hands on the stake and selected a thick cane, eager to begin execution. Then, with a wave of the officer's hand, the soldier immediately used all his strength to whip Jesus hard with the cane. Jesus gritted his teeth and remained silent, while being relentlessly whipped by the soldiers. Each time he was about to fall, Jesus would resiliently stand up again. Soon, his entire back was beaten into a bloody mess. To prevent Jesus from standing up again, the soldier began whipping the inside of Jesus' thighs until he fell to his knees. The soldier was exhausted by then, but Jesus tremblingly stood up again. The officer immediately ordered a change of instruments. The soldiers took up the whip with multiple lashes and hit Jesus harshly again, each strike tearing flesh and spraying blood onto the soldier's face, which made the soldier even more excited. After half an hour of whipping, Jesus was already severely wounded, and the soldiers were exhausted and panting. But the Jews did not stop there. The soldiers unlocked one of Jesus' handcuffs, turned him over, and continued to whip. At this time, Jesus was already numb from the pain, unable to feel any more pain. The flogging continued for over an hour, until a nearby officer stepped in to stop it. Jesus was thus dragged back to the cell, the Jewish soldiers watching over him. In order to humiliate him, specifically crafted a crown of thorns and forcibly placed it on Jesus' head, then knelt before him and shouted, "Correct." Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Then they bound him with chains and, without a trial at the governor's residence, beat and kicked Jesus all the way. Afterwards, they took Jesus to the Jewish temple, where the Jewish high priest declared that Jesus' preaching was capturing people's hearts, and that he must be crucified. However, according to the law at the time, the Jewish priests did not have the authority to execute Jesus, so they could only rush forward and violently beat him, then spit on his face to humiliate him. The Jewish priest requested the governor to sentence Jesus to be crucified, stating the reason that Jesus' teachings captured people's hearts. The governor understood that this was a fabricated charge, but to avoid offending the Jewish priests, he let the Jews go to King Herod for a decision. The Jews had no choice but to drag Jesus with chains. The Jewish crowd also echoed these crazy Jews. Would rather release a heinous murderer than let the innocent Jesus go. The governor ultimately had to compromise and ordered the release of the arrogant death row prisoner, then publicly sentenced Jesus to death. The Jews made Jesus carry the cross, whipping him along the way to the execution site. The soldiers then tied Jesus to the cross, placing iron nails against the palms of his hands and hammered them in one blow at a time. The Virgin Mary could only watch helplessly as her son. Thus, they forcibly pulled Jesus' hand apart. After nailing the palms, the soldiers nailed a wooden block onto the cross and then nailed Jesus' feet onto it. The intense pain did not make Jesus yield. Instead, he continually prayed to heaven, asking the Heavenly Father to forgive the Jews. As Jesus prayed, the sky suddenly thundered, clouds gathered, and the Jewish priests hurriedly ordered the execution of Jesus. A soldier soaked a towel in water, put it on a spear, and gave Jesus his last drink of water, then raised the spear of Longinus and thrust it into Jesus. At that moment, a tear from God fell heavily at Jesus' feet. Suddenly, the earth shook, and the Jewish temple instantly cracked open. But this still did not change the Jews. They always believed they were not wrong, until over 1,000 years later, when they paid a painful price.